Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a Colt Government Model Series 80 review for you. This one's got some sort of unique history to it. It is not mine. It is a friend of a friend's, and it was loaned to me because people realize I've never reviewed a Colt 1911. I've shot plenty of them over the years. Never reviewed one here on the channel, and this is one of their sort of basic models. However, this one was given to the friend of a friend who is a West Point graduate in 2005. You can see it has beautiful engraving on there. For folks who go to West Point, many of you prior enlisted guys disdain them. I can't say I disagree with you. All the West Pointers are getting upset. Anyway, beautiful gun for sure. And but we're going to kind of not focus on that engraved aspect of it and get into just the base gun for folks who are looking at this pistol as a potential pistol they want to pick up. But Colt makes great 1911s, no doubt about it. The Series 80, sort of controversial. In reality, Series 80s guns are not my favorite. I do not like the trigger pull on them as much as I do on the Series 70s. I think that's pretty much universal. But it's still a 1911 trigger, and it still has an excellent trigger. We'll get into the Series 80, Series 70s difference a little bit when we step inside for you new folks that may be confused about what I'm talking about. We'll try to clear that up for you. And we'll ring some more steel and then get into it. Colt makes a ton of different 1911 variants out there, and these 1991 or Series 80s or whatever you want to call them variants are very sort of similar to the USGI models. However, they do have some upgrades, some modern upgrades, so it's sort of a blend of the two. Just taking a look at the feature set, I'm going to compare it to a Springfield Range Officer just to kind of give you an idea for the new folks out there of what I'm actually talking about when I say this. So just taking a look at it here, you'll see the trigger is what's referred to as a long trigger. Now when you compare it to the Range Officer here, you can see the difference. That long trigger is going to be longer. It's going to give you longer trigger reach, as the name implies. A lot of folks with medium to large hands prefer the long trigger. It really is just a personal preference thing, but that is going to be one of the differences there. The safety here is your standard sort of USGI type safety, so it's not going to be sort of elongated like you see here on some of the modern 1911s. Again, it's sort of a personal preference thing. But this one's sort of more true to the heritage of the gun, if you will. Similar thing here going on with the hammer. This is a spur hammer versus some of the sort of skeleton hammers that a lot of other guns, including some of the other Colt models out there, do use. On the right side of the pistol, you'll notice that the ejection port here is lowered versus some of the early 1911s, but it is not lowered and flared like you'd see on some of the more current modern versions like you see here. The grip safety here doesn't have the memory bump like a lot of the modern pistols do. So if you have sort of less than optimal grip, you may not engage that. That's just something to keep in mind. And also the beaver tail is not going to quite protect you as much from the hammer. I really don't have a problem with hammer bite, but I know a lot of folks out there do. So if that's you, that's just something to keep in mind. Of course, you can add these grip safeties if you choose to do so. The pistol does come with two 7-round Colt mags. You can see they do have the Colt stamping there on the bottom. I know a lot of folks are going to like that. And earlier in the video, I mentioned that it was a Series 80s gun. So what I mean by that is that a couple changes happened in 1983, sort of big changes. One was the addition of the firing pin safety, which we'll show you here in a second when we disassemble the pistol. The other one was the adjusted half-cock notch. So we'll show you what that means here. Basically, on the half-cock now, you can see that's your half cock, and the hammer actually will drop from the half cock position. So if you engage your grip safety here, safety's off, and pull the trigger, it'll go down. There's no way that you're going to ignite around there, but it's just something that's a little bit different from some of the earlier guns. And a lot of folks do like the new half cock. For most folks, you'll never notice because most of the people are going to carry the gun cocked and locked. Next, we'll disassemble the pistol. It's standard USGI type 1911 disassembly, a little bit more complicated than Glocks, but certainly not that complex. You're going to want to always make sure your pistol is unloaded at that point. We will push our little plunger down here, rotate the bushing out of the way, And I have a detailed video on cleaning and lubricating a 1911 for those of you that are interested in that. So we'll kind of go relatively quick through this. We'll remove that and get our slide forward. You'll note that it does have a GI guide rod, not a full-length guide rod. A lot of folks out there definitely prefer that. I really don't have a preference personally. Rotator bushing out of the way. Pull our barrel out with the link forward, and that is your field stripped 1911. Now, getting into what we were talking about earlier with the Series 80s guns, if you look back here on the rear of the slide, you'll notice the firing pin safety. So in order for the gun to fire, the trigger here has to actually push that firing pin safety out of the way. So what that does is it causes a little bit of creep in the trigger when you're actually pulling it. And we'll compare it again to the Springfield that we're using earlier, which does not have the firing pin safety. Some folks won't notice the difference. A lot of folks actually won't notice the difference, but the longer you shoot 1911s, the more you'll probably notice it. So we'll reassemble it here and show you what the actual trigger pull looks like. Now the trigger pull on the gun, when you disengage both safeties, external safeties, and you pull the trigger, there's a little bit of uptake, a little bit of slack in there, and once you hit the wall, this is where the big difference in the Series 80s comes into play. You'll start to get some mush here if you watch closely. That movement that you saw there was the firing pin safety disengaging. So not quite as smooth as you'd see on something without it. It's really this right here. You hit your wall and then you have that little movement. Not a huge deal. Again, the trigger's still going to break right around 5 pounds. It's compared to a lot of guns, it's an exceptional trigger. Just one of the nuances of 1911s. I think I hit most of the details, and hopefully I haven't bored you to death at this point, but no getting around it. Colt makes good guns. They make excellent ARs, as you guys have seen here on the channel. I've reviewed several of them over the years, and their 1911s are equally of great quality. These guns right now, at least as of early 2015, are coming in at really the best prices that we've ever seen them at. These 1991 or Series 80 or whatever you want to refer to them as. A lot of times you'll see them interchangeably referred to on the internet. These guns are coming to market, as of right now anyway, a lot of places for under $800. So certainly you're going to give up some of the features of the 1,000 plus dollar Colts that we talked about earlier, but you still have very usable sights here, the 3-dot sights. A great frame to slide fit. You also have a good barrel lock up here, so you're going to have very good accuracy with it. And the gun's been 100% reliable. In my time using it, the owner reports the same, so that's obviously the most important thing when you talk about firearms. The extractor tension is good as it came from the factory. It hasn't been adjusted. You guys have seen that with the ejection patterns here. And really, there's not a lot to complain about in terms of these guns. They work, and if they don't for whatever reason, you guys know also Colt has pretty good customer service, so that's something you can count on as well. They do stand behind their products. If you guys have any questions about this gun, anything else we talk about here on the channel that I didn't cover, you can always post below in the comments section. You can also post over at my Facebook page as always. But thanks for watching, guys. I truly appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next video.